What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to be talking about my newly acquired Fuji GS645 wide. So first off, this is a medium format rangefinder camera, which is insanely small and portable compared to my RB67 that I'm used to. This thing is literally like the film back on the RB is almost as big as this camera. That's how small it is. So I've had this camera for just over a week now. I bought it off of my Instagram pal, Chris Visor. I'll link his Instagram down below so you guys can check him out. He's always posting some really cool work. But he sold me this camera a really good deal. I've been looking for a medium format rangefinder that I could actually afford for quite some time because I do really prefer to shoot medium format over 35 just because I like having that extra resolution. I like being able to print larger if I want to, and not to mention it's like I really like to shoot street photography, stuff like that, a good bit, and this just really seemed like the perfect camera for it. So when I saw him post it up for sale, I knew I had to jump on it while I could. And I'm very glad that I did. I have had some awesome results with the few rolls that I have shot through this camera so far, and I guess we'll talk about some of the details, some of the specs of the camera or whatever. First off, it's a 60mm f4 lens, which obviously isn't super fast or anything like that, but the work that I see myself doing with this camera and just a rangefinder in general, I'm not really concerned with getting that blurry bokeh or bokeh, whatever you want to call it. That's the least of my concerns with this. I will most likely keep this lens around f8, f11 as I normally do, just because I want that super nice, crisp, clear looking photo. It has shutter speeds from 1/500th of a second all the way down to 1 second, and it doesn't have a bulb mode, but it does have a T mode, so I haven't really played with that too much yet, but it does have a little switch right here on the top of the lens. I'm not sure if you guys can see that or not, but essentially you hit that and that just opens up the lens, and then whenever your exposure is over, you actually just fire the shutter or press the shutter button or whatever, and it closes. If you guys can see, so all of the controls for the camera are actually on the lens, which is a tad crowded, but I feel like once you get used to it, that could actually be really cool. I really haven't had a chance to shoot with the camera too much yet, so I've got some work to do on that, but I haven't really been doing anything fast-paced with it, so I haven't really had to fumble too much. So your first ring right here is actually going to be your shutter speed. So that's how you'll control your shutter speed on the camera. Then your middle ring here is your aperture, which, as I said, is f4 all the way to f22 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, f22. And then here you have a nice little focus tab, which I really like that. As you can tell, you don't have to turn it too much to get to that infinity focus or close up. I really like that. It's super quick to focus. In between the shutter and the aperture here is going to be your ISO dial, and they made it super small and kind of hard to get to, from what I'm gathering, just to keep you from accidentally changing it, which I don't mind. It's like once it's set, it's good to go. So you have your ISO dial there, which means this camera does have a built-in light meter, which is super cool. It's very easy to read. You've just got a plus on top, a minus on the bottom, and a circle in the middle. So if you're on the plus, that means you're going to be overexposed. Minus, underexposed. Circle means your exposure is dead on. I really like that, and I've found it super useful so far. What you're seeing around here is a little pretty much like a little roll bar for the lens. From what I've gathered with this camera, the lens isn't the most durable of lens. They kind of went with a cheaper, smaller, like plastic lens to help cut cost and things like that from what I've read. So they put this little bar around here to kind of protect the lens itself. So yeah, a lot of people have said, like, if you're not shooting the lens, make sure you've got it back to infinity focus, so the lens is actually closer to the camera as possible and like actually protected by the bar here, which is kind of an OCD thing for me anyways. I tend to make sure that my cameras are always just left at infinity focus. I don't know why, but I just kind of toy with them like that a lot. Now up top, you're gonna see your frame counter, which if you can see, you'll notice it has a counter for 120 and 220, which is super cool. You know, 220 film's not in production anymore, but if you're one of those people like me who does collect a decent amount of expired film and stuff like that, you're bound to come across it at some point. And it's super nice knowing that next time I do, I've got a camera that I can shoot it in. To load the camera, I really like, it's very much like a 35mm rangefinder, SLR, or whatever. So you load your spool in here, bring it across, load it into your take-up spool, and then just advance like you would on any 35mm SLR, rangefinder, or whatever. Advance, close your back, you're good to go. You will notice here that there's a little counter, so that's what you actually switch. If you are loading up some 220 film, you switch that over to 220, and that lets the counter up top know to go to 30 frames instead of 15. There's also a pressure plate here that you have to switch over, so you would slide it over just like that if you wanted to switch 220, and you will see that it actually changes to 220 on the film back there, or not film back, but on the camera back. Just a nice little perk of the camera that I really enjoy. When you're holding the camera like this, you're actually shooting in portrait orientation, which is, I guess, could be a little weird to get used to. I haven't really found it to be a problem yet. I really thought that I would find it to be a problem at first, but the fact that it's a rangefinder and it has the frame lines there built in for you, it's very obvious when you put the camera up to your eye like this. You know you're shooting in portrait orientation, which is totally fine for me. So if you want to shoot in landscape orientation, you have to turn the camera like this, or, you know, like this, however you prefer to hold it when you're shooting. I could see that being a little weird to some people, and it certainly would be weird, I think, if this were an SLR style camera or something like that. But with it being the rangefinder and just having those frame lines, I don't find it to throw me off or anything like that. So not a big deal, but definitely worth mentioning with this camera. Also, I'd like to add, like, if you're a street shooter or you like taking candids or anything like that, this camera is so good for that. I mean, just like listen to how quiet the shutter is. This is at 500th of a second. Just like listen to this. Yeah. That's it. Super quiet, very, very sneaky, I guess you would say. And I forgot to mention this a little bit earlier, but there's also a self timer here at the bottom. So if you've got this on a tripod and you want to take a group photo and get yourself in there, you can easily do that by setting the self timer and then hitting the shutter, hopping in the frame. I guess that is about all I've got for you on this one so far. As of right now, like I said, I haven't had it very long. I've just been enjoying testing it out. I think I've put like 5 rolls through it so far, but the video you're about to see is just we had a nice day, a break from all of the rain that we've been having lately, and I threw some Portra 400 in this thing and just walked out my door and walked around a little part of the neighborhood. There's a public swimming pool that is obviously closed during the wintertime. It hasn't reopened yet. Not quite warm enough here yet, but I wanted to get down there. I've been wanting to go down and shoot some photos in that area for quite a bit, so I decided to kind of go down there with this and take a few little like test photos, check my compositions and everything before I go down with the RB. I just thought it would be a fun little way to get out, shoot a roll through this thing, and show you guys some photo examples from it. So yeah, I hope you all enjoy. Here we go. Alright guys, so that was it for this week's video. I gotta say, I'm really enjoying shooting with this camera. I'm super excited to have a nice, just medium format rangefinder camera. It's nice being able to have something a little more portable, as I said, than the RB. I've grown accustomed to taking the RB with me everywhere. I really don't mind the weight of it and everything, but getting 10 shots per roll as opposed to 15, definitely makes this one a little more my go-to now, just for like a daily carry camera. Just something, getting 15 shots on a roll of 120, that's not gonna make me dread taking a snapshot or like something like that. After shooting with the RB for so long, like anything more than 10 photos just seems like crazy to me. So having that extra 5 is really cool. The lens, as you can tell from the photos, is very nice and sharp. I really like the color rendering of the lens and everything. I have shot some black and white through this one too so far. Only one roll of Tri-X and a roll of HP5 at 800. I really like the results from both of those two. I'm sure I'll do a video on some black and white with this camera, and at some point in time. But that's gonna do it for this week. So as always, don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed what you saw. Hit that subscribe button if you have not already, or you're just new here. There's a little notification bell as well that you guys can hit just to stay updated with everything that I'm doing here. My print shop has been updated online, so I've added 6 new photos from my After the Storm series that, if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen quite a few of those photos. We had a tornado run through Spartanburg back on February 6th, and it did a lot of damage. I've got a show hanging up actually here in town right now that is it's 10 of the photos, just hanging up, trying to sell them just to raise a little money to offset some of the costs from cleanup and rebuild and everything. And the opening reception was actually last week, and I didn't sell everything, but all of the leftover 8x10 prints that I did have, I've added into the Big Cartel store. If you guys would like to check that out, that would be awesome. Normally the proceeds from that store just go to helping me keep this channel running and everything here. I'm actually donating 50% of the proceeds from all those 6 prints to just help offset the cost and everything. So I'll link that all down below for you guys to check out. As always, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for everything. And don't forget to follow me over on Instagram at ZachParksPhoto. And then I'll see you guys next week. Until then, happy shooting.